Okay, so I wanted to add my 2 cents to the whole gender fluid, gender neutral, non binary topic because there's another variant of it that isn't touched upon a whole lot. So obviously, if you're gender fluid, you can fluctuate between what your gender is. You know, maybe one day you want to dress more masculine, and another day you want to dress more feminine. And a lot of times that coincides with the mental switch of I feel more like a boy today, or I feel more like a girl today. But don't forget about outside of being gender fluid, there's people who maybe their sex is female, but they like to dress as a male, but they still identify as their gender being female or male. You know, there's a whole mishmash that you can get. And for me as a gender fluid person, some days I feel like a boy and dress like a boy. Other days I feel like a boy but still want to dress like a girl. Same thing flip flops. Sometimes I feel the opposite of that. I feel like a girl and want to dress like a girl, or I feel like a girl and want to dress like a boy, or so really it's a struggle for me because true, there's a difference between gender and sex, but at the end of the day, because it shouldn't even fucking matter in the first place, just do what you want, dress how you want, be who you want. So yes, it can be really helpful to be able to say I'm gender neutral, or I'm a trans girl, or a trans boy, or I'm cis, or what have you. But at the end of the day, those genderings are what makes it difficult half the time in the first place. Like, oh, so you're gender neutral, and what are you today? And I'll be like, I'm a boy, and they'll be like, but you're dressed like a girl. And I'm like, if I feel like a boy, it's a mental state. It doesn't necessarily mean I have to be dressed like a boy if I feel like a boy, or vice versa. If I feel like a girl, I don't have to be dressed like a girl. I can be dressed like a boy when I feel girly that day. It doesn't fucking matter. There are boys that are young that just like girly things, and there are girls that are young that like boyish things. I was a tomboy, perfect example. Before I realized that I was non binary, I really loved boys' stuff. But I also liked the girly stuff, like I loved twirling in dresses. So it doesn't even matter. Be who you want to be. And just accept people when they say what they are, because it's not up to you. You aren't them. It doesn't pay to have this debate of, oh, but you don't look like what you say, because that's not the point. The point is not, the point isn't even to have to understand who they are or what they feel like. It's just, you're human, you're alive. And if you're happy, then that is the greatest thing possible. And if you can understand where they're coming from, that's just a bonus. That's just the icing on top of the cake. So never be afraid to not look the part, because it's not about looking how you feel. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you feel like a boy and you just desperately need to look and pull off being that boy that you feel like that day, or that girl you feel like being that day. But if you feel one way and you want to dress another, that's perfectly okay too. Do not be afraid to not look like the expectation people have for your gender. Do not, let me say that again, do not feel like you have to look like the expectation of your gender, or your sex, or anything for that matter. Be you. Be true. And just be happy with that, because that is so beautiful. That is so strong, and I am proud of everyone who, even in the smallest senses, try and embrace who they are, because I know some people can't be out about it, and that's so hard. It's so hard. But even if you're in private and that's all you can do, just love yourself to death. Just do it, because that's half the battle right there. Because I was lucky. I may have been raised in a really conservative household, but once my bad parent was out of the picture, my mother blossomed and she really was able to support me and understand. And um, I think so much of the support that I got from my friends and then from my mother and certain family members and my girlfriend, that just really helped. But it luckily kind of was able to come naturally to me, the confidence of, yeah, this is who I am. So even in groups of coworkers, I can just be like, yeah, I know. Sometimes I just wish I didn't have boobs at all. Sometimes I just feel like a dude. And they just roll with it because half of it is that confidence of, yeah, that's just how I am, you know? And and if I feel that they accept it and they're cool with it and they're like, yeah, totally, you know? And that's just really great, you know? Sometimes the negativity we get back is because we aren't solid in our resolve with it, and it can be scary and uncomfortable, but try and fight through that because it's like when you go and do a job interview. If you're like, yeah, I mean, I think I'm okay for this job and I've got some of the required skills, I'm not like positive that I'll be able to do everything, but I think with enough time I'll be able to do it. That doesn't sell yourself. That doesn't that sells yourself short of what you're capable of and your potential. And I think when you can really embrace who you are and be like, yeah, I am a really quick learner and I am really great with people skills or manufacturing or whatever you are good at, numbers, whatever. Just apply that to how you sell your personality and who you are as a person, because having that like solidness and that resolve of this is who I am and you can't change it. It's not yours to change anyways, and just be happy and confident and bubbly about it, if you will, because that's gotten the best support and reactions in my life so far, is just knowing who I am and putting it out there and not being reserved about it or pulling my punch of, yeah, so I didn't know if you knew this, but I'm gender fluid. No, fuck it. Yeah, I'm gender fluid. Sometimes I'm a boy and sometimes I'm a girl. Boom, and then they're like, oh, that rolls off the tongue, you know, that's cool. You've been, it makes it sound like you've been like this your whole life, not something that you fluctuated into, which is a lot of times how it is. Almost 99% of the time is a slow realization of this is who I am, and now I have to, you know, figure out how to accept it myself. And if you accept yourself, it makes it 10 times easier for others to accept you too. And I mean, it doesn't mean that you need to be accepted to be validated, but it sure does feel great, doesn't it? So that's my input. I hope you got a little bit of something out of it. Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's not as cut and dried as it always seems to be. So as a gender fluid person, sometimes I have those wonderful days where I'm like, fuck, I feel like both a boy and a girl. How do I swing this? And then I just throw stuff on and I'm like, oh, alright, that was a lot easier than I expected it to be, because I just threw out the window of what I was supposed to look like. And my body and my mind just did it for me. It's naturally as waking up in the morning each day. So, all love to you. Hope to see you around. Bye!